Have you ever done everything right with your money? Saving, investing, staying disciplined, yet your balance barely moves? Most people think compounding interest should feel rewarding from the start, but the truth is that compound growth begins painfully slow. It's the phase where wealth growth over time feels invisible, and patience in investing becomes the real test. This isn't failure. It's simply how long-term investing works. Slow money growth first, exponential returns later. The question is, can you hold steady long enough for the curve to finally bend? If you're serious about building calm, consistent wealth, consider subscribing so you don't miss the upcoming videos that simplify your financial life. There's a moment in every financial journey when progress feels invisible. You're saving, investing, staying disciplined, and doing everything you've been told, yet the numbers barely shift. This isn't a sign that compounding interest isn't working. It's simply the beginning of what I call the quiet acceleration framework, the phase where compounding grows roots instead of branches. In these early years, wealth growth over time looks almost non-existent because compound growth behaves like a seed buried underground. It works in silence before it ever breaks the surface. These early years test something deeper than strategy. They test whether you can develop a long-term wealth mindset in a world conditioned to chase quick wins. And here's the truth most people never hear. Slow money growth is not a problem. It's the natural foundation of long-term investing. During this phase, your contributions matter far more than your returns, and your belief matters more than the numbers on your screen. Most people quit compounding during this silent stretch, right before exponential returns begin forming beneath the surface. But what if this stillness isn't a warning sign at all, but proof that the foundation is taking hold? The real question becomes, can you trust growth you cannot yet see? This first stage, the quiet years, feels discouraging because your inputs outweigh your results. You contribute more than your money earns, and the imbalance feels unfair. As adults, we want evidence that our effort matters, but compounding interest doesn't reveal its power early. It behaves more like slow healing than fast growth, subtle, quiet, and almost invisible. During this phase, long-term investing can feel emotionally unrewarding because wealth growth over time doesn't yet resemble the pictures you see in financial books. The curve is flat, your progress feels small, and you start wondering whether patience in investing is even worth it. But the quiet years are not punishment. They are calibration. They're teaching you the rhythm of consistency, the emotional discipline of staying invested, and the mindset required for building wealth slowly. Ironically, slow money growth in this stage is exactly what prepares you for exponential returns later. This is the part no one talks about, the psychological cost of becoming someone who can think beyond the moment. Your identity shifts from wanting quick validation to embracing the long-term wealth mindset that compounding requires. Surviving this stage isn't about financial skill, it's about emotional endurance. And that endurance becomes the foundation for everything that follows. Once you move beyond the stillness, you enter the second stage, the stability base. This is where compounding interest begins to feel less abstract and more like a structure you're actively shaping. Instead of thinking in rigid pillars, think of stability as the environment where long-term investing becomes sustainable. It's built through balanced habits, predictable contributions, and thoughtful diversification that reflects your real life, not someone else's highlight reel. The stability base protects you from the emotional swings that often interrupt wealth growth over time. It keeps your focus on building wealth slowly, even when slow money growth feels frustrating. This stage isn't glamorous, but it's powerful because it reduces the emotional volatility that leads most adults to sabotage their progress. You begin creating systems that support patience in investing, letting compound growth work quietly beneath the surface. The more stable your routine becomes, the more naturally you position yourself for exponential returns later. Stability doesn't shout, it whispers. And its quiet consistency becomes the psychological anchor that keeps your long-term wealth mindset intact when the world around you feels unpredictable. Stability isn't exciting, but it is essential, because without it, compounding never gets the chance to accelerate. And before we move forward, if you're finding clarity so far and want part 4 of this compounding series sooner, just drop the word video in the comments. It helps me know this is truly supporting you. Then comes the third phase, the emotional breakpoints, the moments where consistency begins to feel heavier than the reward. These breakpoints appear almost predictably in every long-term investing journey. The first is fatigue, when slow money growth makes you wonder whether compounding interest is even worth the effort. You're putting money in, yet your balance hardly reacts. The second is comparison, when someone else's faster progress makes your own feel painfully small. And the third is fear, especially during market downturns, when stepping back feels safer than staying invested. These breakpoints matter because they shape your financial identity more than any chart or model ever could. This is where patience in investing becomes a practice, not a theory. It's where the long-term wealth mindset is either strengthened or abandoned. People often assume exponential returns depend on choosing the perfect strategy, but in reality, they depend on surviving these emotional interruptions. The strongest portfolios don't belong to people who avoided discomfort. They belong to those who refuse to stop. So ask yourself a grounding question. Which emotional breakpoint pulls you off track most often? And what would staying calm look like instead? Understanding that answer is what protects your compounding journey from being dismantled halfway through. These emotional breakpoints matter because compounding is not a math problem. It's a behavior problem. The numbers only work if you stay in the game long enough for them to mean something. Most adults expect wealth growth over time to feel linear and affirming, but real progress in long-term investing is slow, uneven, and occasionally discouraging. Yet this is also the stretch where your identity begins to shift. You stop seeing money as something that should reward you instantly and start viewing it as something that matures with you. This is the mindset required for building wealth slowly, where slow money growth is not a sign of failure but part of the architecture. At this stage, patience in investing becomes your greatest financial skill. You no longer rely on quick wins. You rely on consistent choices that preserve emotional stability. Ironically, this is where compound growth starts preparing for its next phase, the moment exponential returns quietly begin forming beneath the surface. You're not investing for today's validation anymore. You're investing for tomorrow's stability. And once this long-term wealth mindset settles in, acceleration stops feeling like something you chase and starts becoming a natural outcome of who you're becoming. This brings us to the final stage, the annual lift. Unlike aggressive strategies or dramatic financial overhauls, this stage asks for something far more sustainable, one intentional increase each year. Not a big leap, just a symbolic adjustment that reflects your growth and reinforces your commitment to long-term investing. This simple decision is powerful because it strengthens identity. Each year you quietly declare, "I contribute more because I've grown." And those micro-elevations compound more meaningfully than most people realize. They support building wealth slowly while allowing compound growth to gather momentum beneath the surface. The annual lift also protects your progress during years when slow money growth feels discouraging. Instead of questioning your path, you reinforce it with a small act of alignment. Over time, this consistency transforms a flat curve into the upward bend where exponential returns finally appear. This is how financial stability is created, not through intensity, but through intention. And if you want a simple, grounded way to organize your income, track your assets, understand your liabilities, and finally see your financial life with calm and honesty, we're building the Trip to Wealth Command Center, shaped by your feedback and designed for real-life clarity. The tool. It's coming out soon, and you can join the early access list below to be one of the first to try it and secure a discount before launch. When you put all 4 phases together, something remarkable happens. The quiet years give you resilience, the stability base gives you structure, the emotional breakpoints strengthen your discipline, and the annual lift introduces momentum. Suddenly, what once felt like slow money growth begins transforming into a pattern you can trust. This is where long-term investing finally reveals its rhythm, steady, patient, and built for durability rather than drama. You start noticing that your contributions and your returns are no longer competing with each other. They're working together. This stage often arrives quietly. 1 month your progress still looks modest, and then a year later, you see the unmistakable shift of exponential returns beginning to form. The curve bends. Compound growth becomes visible. This is when your long-term wealth mindset stops being an idea and becomes a lived experience. You understand why wealth growth over time requires emotional steadiness, not constant optimization. And the most surprising part? The acceleration feels earned, not lucky, not accidental. It feels like the natural reward for staying committed when progress was nearly invisible. This is the moment where compounding interest stops testing you and finally begins to reward you for every year you refuse to quit. So now the question becomes, what does all of this mean for you today? It means compounding isn't testing your intelligence, it's testing your steadiness. The quiet acceleration framework exists to help you recognize where you are, why it feels the way it feels, and what to expect next. If you're in the quiet years, don't mistake silence for failure. If you're building your stability base, trust that you're creating the foundation long-term investing requires. If you're navigating emotional breakpoints, remember they appear for everyone. And if you're practicing the annual lift, understand that you're reinforcing the identity needed for building wealth slowly. Compounding interest rewards those who stay long enough for exponential returns to appear, and that only happens when you commit to wealth growth over time. The early phase often feels painfully slow, but your patience in investing is what transforms that stillness into momentum. Eventually, the moment arrives when your progress stops feeling stuck and begins to feel earned. Because the truth is simple, long-term wealth isn't built in dramatic moments. It's built in quiet seasons, steady habits, and years where you showed up even when the numbers didn't impress you. Those invisible years are the ones that change everything. When you look at the full journey, compounding becomes easier to understand. The quiet years teach patience. The stability base builds structure, the emotional breakpoints strengthen discipline, and the annual lift creates momentum. These phases work together to shape the long-term wealth mindset needed for growth that lasts. Slow progress doesn't mean failure, it's simply the beginning of wealth growth over time. The emotional challenges you face are not signs to stop, but signals that you're moving into the next stage of maturity as an investor. Compounding interest rewards consistency, not perfection. And the moment exponential returns finally appear, you realize the early struggle wasn't wasted time. It was preparation for everything that came next. Remember, this video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice. It is important to conduct thorough research and consult with financial professionals before making any investment decisions. The value of investments can fluctuate, and past performance is not indicative of future results. Always assess your risk tolerance and investment goals before allocating your capital. If this video brought clarity to your financial journey, I highly recommend watching my next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, feel free to leave your comment below. I appreciate your support more than you know. Until next time, stay consistent, stay patient, and stay winning. See you in the next one, Money Magician.